right, hey guys, this is JJ Goodman with that hashtag show. We're here at Comic-Con International 2019 in San Diego, and with me today is the legendary comic book artist, writer, and creator of Spawn, Todd McFarlane.
Hey JJ, how you doing, bud?
Good, how are you,
man? Good to see you. Good to see you.
How's your con going so far?
You know what? Every con is great, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it's a false positive, right? So people, even my peers, go, Todd, how's your con going? There's only one answer. Really great, because here's why. Everybody that gets in your line likes you. You only have people who like you, and then they get in line, and then they say nice things to you all day long. So how do you have a bad day at a convention?
Exactly.
So anybody that asks me the question going, how's your convention? Is like, what are you talking about? Of course it's brilliant. It's a false positive. It's the best place you can be, because as soon as I walk out of this building, you're a nobody, right? So why, if you had bad day, like what's a bad day? Like, oh my gosh. So the answer is every convention's awesome.
And how are you going to have a bad convention when you've got so much going on right now?
Yeah.
You know, you introduced us to Spawn 27 years ago.
Yeah,
and
27 years,
now
right.
here we are in 2019, and you are not only about to tie a record, but with the 301st issue of Spawn, you're going to break the record for the longest creator-owned comic. How does that make you feel?
Let's be clear. The longest running creator-owned comic in the history of mankind for all time. Like, so it's not in America. No, I'm not saying as a joke, because people go, oh, in America. No. And in the world, oh, currently. No. Ever. The word ever is on that. So to me, 301 is really, like, emotionally is more important to me, because that's the record setter. Yeah. I even had contemplation of whether I make 300 a regular size issue and then make 301 this giant size issue. And then everybody would go, why are you doing that? And then I'd have to then say it, but I've been saying it anyways. But the easier way is to just do 300, make it a cliffhanger. So they have to buy 300, which is a double size issue, and then go, you can't get, you have to read the tying one and then the record breaker together to get the full story. And we got a chance maybe again back-to-back #1 sales in the country. Spawn 300 will be #1 in the country, right? 27 years after Spawn 1 was #1, 27 years later, you can still climb to the top of the mountain. So
now, what can we expect from this milestone? What have you got in store for us?
It's going to be a big fat comic book, because when I was a kid, I loved fat comic books. So I wanted to bring some people I thought would add some relevance to the comic. Obviously, Sean Alexander has been doing a great run on the book. He's part of this, because he sort of led us to this sort of doorstep. Then I went and got Jerome Pena to give me a couple pages. And then a couple of the arm twisting, but the pages are looking great. Jeffrey Scott Campbell, right? He's going to do a cover and interior, and then I go, if I can get Greg Capullo to come back, right? Like, then the boy band will be back. And I go, Greg, come on, I'll ink you, I'll give you all the pages, come on, let's go. And then I still needed 8 or 10 pages finished, and I was looking around going, well, who else can I get? And I went, oh yeah, there's that guy named Todd McFarlane that used to draw this book. Yeah. See if I can get him to come back. So I'm gonna draw some in 300 and then do the bulk of it in 301, and come back to the record setter and do it. So it's just, what my deal was, if you want to do a cover for 300, you have to do interior pages. That was the deal. I don't want just, that rule isn't true for 301, but for 300, I just want, you do inside, you do outside. Because a guy like Jeffrey Scott Campbell, I go, come on, doing a cover isn't going to be what's going to get them excited. That's going to be like obvious. When I get to say you're doing interior artwork, that's the one. They're going to go, what? Whoa. Jeffrey Scott Campbell's doing interior? Oh my gosh, right? So
yeah, and you figure some of these guys like me have been reading this comic for most of our lives. Having this kind of issue is going to be exciting for everybody.
I missed somebody. Behind us over there. Scott Snyder over there, right? I go, okay, Scott. So Scott's going to be writing the chapter that I'm drawing. So he's like, Todd, come on, let's have some fun together. I go, okay, I'll let you write the chapter that I draw. So that's right, Scott's going to help me with the writing.
Now, having been doing this for so long and reaching this milestone, do you have any regrets? Are there any crossovers that perhaps you may have wished you could have done but couldn't because of licensing or other factors?
No, regret. I don't live in those sort of worlds, but I wish that one time we talked about doing Spawn Batman that Greg was going to draw and I was going to write in ink, that we had done that before he went on to become, this preeminent Batman artist. But who knows? We're still both young and ambitious. Maybe someday we'll do it. But no, I'm always forward looking, right? I don't worry about like what I didn't do. I worry about what I can do tomorrow. So, to me, let's get to the record setter, and then every issue thereafter will be a new record, and start thinking about what I'm going to be doing for issue 400.
Now, you just brought up Batman. You just designed the new Batman 100, the commemorative black and white statue based on 423.
So let's just put it in context. I didn't just design it. I did that drawing like probably close to 30 years ago. Half the people walking behind us probably weren't even on the planet, and then they decided to go, hey, you know what? Let's just pull this out. The thing that's interesting is that image has resonated somehow, and the way that I'm not saying that to brag or whatever, the way I know what images people like is that I do a lot of signings, and because there's a lot of people at times, I have to limit them to maybe one or two autographs, okay? So you start forcing people to only pick the one or two books. So you can imagine what I see. The vast majority of what I see is Amazing Spider-Man 300, Spidey 1, Spawn 1, and then maybe, Hulk 340 with the Wolvie on it, right? Those four you see over and over and over and over because you can only pick two. But I'm constantly surprised at how many times I see Batman 423 come in as part of their selection of everything I've ever done. They bring that book in there, so I go, oh, okay. So obviously people think it's a cool graphic image, which is all it was meant to be back then. So
now, you mentioned Spider-Man, of course. What's it like now doing this in an environment without Stan Lee?
Yeah, no, I just literally an hour ago, I just finished a panel, a tribute to Stan. There was a bunch of people on there that were telling stories of him all the way from the 60s all the way up. I think my expertise with Stan came in the last 10 years, and especially near the end of his life. It's sort of a double-edged sword. On one hand, you can say that he had an impact as to why we see what we see around us right now. This thing called geekdom and fandom, as big as it is, right? And it's expanded on a global level. On the other hand, you're just going, wow, this is the first convention without Stan not being here, and he can't be here, right? And so there's I catch myself every now and then going, all those fun stories, all those times I was on stage with him, all those times I got to go sort of see him in person, I like that. It's never going to happen again. And you go, Now, the upside again is that this legacy of those characters are only going to continue to grow. And those characters are then going to basically spill out new characters. And in 50 years from now, this thing is going to be 100 times bigger. And the characters that were just started in the 1960s with Stan and some of his co-creators, the artists, we're going to be way beyond Iron Man. But they're going to all just be sort of iterations, evolutions of those characters, right? So as big as we think Stan created a universe, it's going to be twice as big in 10 years from now.
And obviously you're a big part of that. Now you've got a new line of the McFarlane figures that are coming out. I understand you're going to be doing the new DC figures. So how did that
DC Multiverse, right.
How did that all come about, and what's it like now being able to translate some of those characters from page to physical figures?
So, we're constantly, from the toy company point of view, we're constantly looking for new license, right? That's sort of the hardest thing. How do you mine a license that somebody will find? So, we had in recent years big success with something like Five Nights at Freddy's, right? Boom, just sort of blew up. And then we went into, Fortnite doing gangbusters for us. And then we had a conversation, and then we've always talking back and forth with different companies, and for whatever reason, they decided to look for some new people to come on board, and so they said, hey, would you guys be interested in making an offer, coming in and taking a look at what we're doing? And we ended up winning the bid. And so we're in the middle of developing all that stuff right now. It starts in 2020. And so, it's going to be awesome. I think it's a 3-year contract, and hopefully everything we do in year one will pale by the time we get to year number 3 and we're just rocking and rolling, right?
Now, we're more than halfway through 2019 now. When do you think we're going to start seeing some sneak previews of the new work?
Wow, you know what? That's a good question. I don't know. To be fair to everybody, Warner Brothers, DC, Multiverse people, I mean, they there's somebody that already has a contract right now. Mattel has it right now. And it wouldn't really be overly fair to basically start talking about like what's coming up and ignore the people here. So they're, everybody's trying to be somewhat courteous about saying, hey, let them finish out their contract with some, sort of dignity, and then once it's our turn in 2020, then we'll blow all the windows. So my guess is we get a little bit closer to Christmas, then they'll probably say, hey, yeah, now it's okay because all the orders are in, and it's time for you guys to basically get your orders and talk about it.
Right. So now Spawn has had a couple of crossovers over the years. One of the latest is now he's going to be a playable character in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
How did that process come to be, and how do you feel about having your character now possibly facing ultimate death in Mortal Kombat?
Well, and look at here's the cool thing about Mortal Kombat. Let me just say, that game is getting super cool, right? I mean, and they're doing some wicked stuff in it, right? Maybe it might not be right for all ages, right? But it's lots of fun. So when I was talking to them, and again, how it comes about is that people just phone and say, hey, would Todd be interested? Hey, would Todd be interested? Just like when I phone people asking them, hey, is there any way I can do this or this for you? So when we were having conversation with them, it appears that they've got a couple big Spawn geeks there because they put together a lot of information that I had forgotten, and I was the guy who wrote it. And they were regurgitating my stuff back to me, going, wow, they're smarter than I am. And then one of the things I was encouraging them was to not worry about being so loyal to Spawn and my fans and all that other stuff, right? I mean, don't worry about it. There's plenty of that, and I'm sure you guys are smart enough to keep that. Make your Mortal Kombat fans as happy as possible, right? I want them. What would be cool to me is if somebody who knows nothing about Spawn sort of downloads this character because they just like the game, and then just go, oh my God, that dude's my favorite. What's his name again? Prawn? Spam? What is it again? Oh, Spawn. Oh, yeah. But he's the coolest dude that's there. Then, to me, then they will have done their job, right? And so they went, so you're saying we can just get crazy? And I'm like, if you don't, I'm going to be mad, right? And so they've done some things with them that are going to be super cool in the visuals. They're going to be showing that down the line, and so there's still surprises yet to come.
Great. Now, last question.
Yep.
Setting aside any kind of licensing restrictions or anything like that, which other character would you most want to see Spawn go up against?
Go up? Superman.
Superman.
Yeah, because most people think he's the toughest guy on the planet, and I've always had a story in my head where I go, I can prove that to not be true, that my guys would outlast them.
Awesome.